I am here today with Denise Martin, who is a volunteer with the Leche League Canada, and I'm super excited to hear more about this organization and your role there. Denise, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, well, thank you, Teresa, for inviting me today and talking about Leche League Canada. Leche League, is so close to my heart. As a parent, as a mother, as a breastfeeding parent, and a community member or a volunteer community member. I've been a volunteer with Leche League Canada for over 20 years. I connected with Leche League Canada when I had my third child, or when I was pregnant with my third child. I breastfed my first two, no challenges, and just kind of went along the way with very little information and support. And when I always say it's the age of the internet. That's how I found out about Leche League Canada. I guess I never looked in a newspaper but the Leche League has been around, for over almost 60 years.
Wow.
But I didn't connect. And then when I did, I was like, oh, this feels so good. Everyone has their own journey and path, but the philosophies of parenting, of mothering, breastfeeding through mothering, all really resonated with me. And it was really reassuring to have parents around me. So I came to the Leche League without breastfeeding challenges, and many parents do. It's about community and support. And also sharing your own experiences to help those that come after you. In addition, as I get older, because my children are now mostly grown and gone, I am still, a volunteer with the Leche League Canada on the ground work, doing prenatal classes and group facilitation and helping calls. But I am also the administrator of Leaders for Canada. So just as parents need support and information, leaders, volunteer leaders need that support and information also. So my role in that administrative part, which is a volunteer role, is to help ensure that facilitators, leaders across Canada get that love and support so that they can do their role supporting others in the community. So
That's amazing.
that is me.
That is phenomenal. It sounds like you're really passionate about this
Mm-hmm.
field, and it seems like it really met a need in your life at that time. What exactly, what does the Leche League stand for? Like, what is it? What's its
Yeah.
goal and purpose?
So Leche League Canada is a registered charity that provides peer-to-peer support and information regarding human milk feeding, breastfeeding, chest feeding, however a parent defines that act of nourishing their child. We're parents as peer-to-peer, we're parents just like those that come, looking for information and support, and the value of sharing experiences, sharing ideas, is since the beginning of time. Who
Hmm.
knows best about mothering and parenting but ourselves? And
Hmm.
sometimes we don't have that confidence to do. And so, surrounding yourselves with people that can support you in that way is important. Um, um, yes, connection and respect are at the heart of what we do, and we strive to ensure across Canada that all families are welcomed and reflected in Leche League Canada. And that's quite exciting for us that, of course, leaders, facilitators all come from different backgrounds. Now with Zoom or Google Meets, so virtual support, virtual platforms,
Hmm.
geography is never a challenge. So families across Canada and York region have the ability to get support in their own language from a facilitator. We
Hmm.
have a Mandarin group, a Mandarin prenatal. Now the leader is in BC, but it's virtual. So
Mm.
our information sheets, are translated. We just had a new leader accredited, and she is doing a Portuguese group.
Amazing.
We have physically and virtually from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We have an Arabic group. But
Mm.
so across Canada, you can get the support in the language most likely in your preferred language. So that's also pretty darn amazing. And again, nobody knows your baby and your family better than you. And so our role to parents is to give information versus advice so they can navigate that information as best possible.
Mm.
And that's on the parent, front. We do also offer trainings and information for health professionals also, including usually once a year a health professional conference. We have a communications training for supporting breastfeeding and human milk feeding families, which gives the health professional or community partner SERPs. So
Okay.
that's also something that we do. So it's a lot. It's a
It is,
lot for a
it is a
volunteer
lot.
organization.
It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This organization that started in the US by 7 women has grown to an organization around the world. There is Leche League Hong Kong, Leche League Great Britain, everywhere. And one of the things is about consistency.
Yeah.
No matter who you call or who you connect with, that information, because it's evidence-based information, is always going to be the same so that parents can navigate what works best for them.
Yeah. I always feel, especially as a doula, that the Leche League is always on top of what's the most current when it comes to human milk. They just seem to, they're on top of it, they're reporting on it, they're giving information about it, they're making handouts for it. They really are the leader in that field, which is pretty exciting.
Thank you for recognizing that, Teresa. And it's I actually have an email from someone about what our information sheet is on nipple trauma, because
Mm.
we were one of the first. Leche League Canada was the first to get out the new mastitis protocol as per the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine. And one of the reasons is that we have a little bit less red tape,
Yeah.
to go through. We have a professional liaison department. Our professional liaison department includes doctors, pharmacists, IBCLCs. That's their other hats above and beyond the leader, because
Yeah.
leaders are parents first, or breastfeeding
Hmm.
or human milk feeding parents first. But we have all this amazing knowledge and experience from leaders across Canada that support and help with that navigation. And so we can get out fairly quickly the new protocols or new information, because we have a little less red tape to go through.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I
Okay.
appreciate you acknowledging that. Yeah, because we're pretty proud of that about
Yeah,
Leche League Canada.
absolutely. Absolutely. So for families who are looking to access resources for through the Leche League, is it predominantly group environment? Are there individual one-on-ones? How does it work for a
Yeah,
family
that's
that's
a good
looking for
question.
support?
So Leche League offers all different kinds of support for parents. We offer across Canada a prenatal breastfeeding class. That is a virtual class. Personally, as a Leche League Canada leader, I used to do the prenatal classes in person at a couple of the midwives' offices and early on centers, but then, the pandemic hit, and
Pandemic.
stop. And so we quickly put together, from that not platform, but from that agenda, a virtual program. And we are actually working on it again to reevaluate and make it look nicer. So we have the virtual prenatal class. So geography isn't a challenge. Some groups across Canada, including Ontario and York region, they have monthly sessions, group sessions. So Newmarket Group, for example, holds 2 in-person sessions. And then our Richmond Hill group just continues to be virtual. So virtual and in-person group sessions. But as facilitators or leaders, we also do one-on-one support. So if you have a question or concern about your breastfeeding experience or prenatally, then you can reach out to your local facilitator or leader for that one-on-one support. So that might be telephone, that might be email, that might be through Facebook Messenger, and that also can be virtual. As volunteers, Leche League leaders are not mandated to do home visits. And of course, with the pandemic, we could not. But now that that has shifted, for myself, I won't speak to about any other leaders, but depending on the challenge, then I will also do a home visit. And all of this is always at no cost to parents.
So for a family who, let's just say, is expecting their first, and breastfeeding, body feeding for them is very important, what is the best time for them to reach out to something like the Leche League, to reach out to you to start accessing information?
Anytime is a great time to come to to Leche League. But yes, prenatally is a really great idea. As we had, briefly talked about before, having a clear foundation of knowledge, so that when you navigate, if challenges come their way, that they've got that foundation. So anytime. For the prenatal breastfeeding class, then at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to your estimated due date, depending on where you live. I know personally, I offer them every 2 months. So every other month, but across Canada, you can attend any of the classes. And as I shared before, there's a Mandarin class in Vancouver. So time zones is also going to influence things.
Fair, yeah.
But at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to your estimated due date. So looking to see when classes are available is going to influence when you're going to take that class. And then, of course, if you have any questions or concerns that are personal to you, then you can reach out one-on-one for information and support. For example, if someone has had a breast reduction, or if they've had challenges, induced lactation, breast reductions, co-nursing, all of that kind of information. So it's going to be unique to everyone. And which I forgot to share with you, I shared, about getting support and information in different languages. We also have, and my co-leader offers a prenatal class for the LGBTQ2S+ community. So those, I'm not going to say challenges, but those breastfeeding, human milk feeding information may be different than for others.
I imagine laying that good foundation really just sets you up on the right foot.
Yeah.
Actually start your journey.
How to get off to the best start, what to do if you are faced with challenges, when you have, and many parents don't necessarily have challenges, but they certainly can. So having an understanding of some of the things, for example, just the very common challenge of engorgement or edema, knowing that, there are things that can influence, how much edema somebody has. Oh, I didn't know that with IV fluids that fluid goes to soft tissue. Oh, yeah. I did not know that. It may not change your choice of that IV, or maybe you don't have a choice of receiving IV fluids. But there are some strategies to decrease that, and knowing that it can be within the range of normal, and just how to cope the strategies to cope with that, knowing that it will pass.
Yeah.
And that's another thing of the group support, and what we do is reminding parents that this is just a moment.
It sounds like the Leche League is there as early as you need them to be able
As
to support.
early
Now,
as you need them.
is there a cutoff point at which point that services either stop, or do parents normally just, when they're
No,
finished with the services, they just,
no, it's whenever they feel the time is right. Whether you're having your first baby or your second baby, or yeah, there is no cutoff. And remembering that Leche League is not only about breastfeeding or human milk feeding or chest feeding or body feeding, however you want to define it. It is also about parenting. So one of our concepts is, the need that a baby and a child has for their parent or those close to them.
it really sounds like the families in your groups are basically traveling life together now, right? You come because you have a need or you're wanting some information, and then you continue on this similar journey because, they're all parenting, obviously, or at some point, and being able to do life together, which is really a beautiful thing, to
That's
not feel
how,
alone.
when we think about, parenting, when we think about mothering, that's how it has always been. It's not intended to be an isolated act.
I love that. All right. So how can a family get in contact with you, get in contact with Leche League Canada? What's the
Yeah.
process? Where do we call? Or where do we email?
So you can go on the Leche League Canada website, www.llc.ca. And one of the top bars is Get Help. And so when you click on Get Help, you can choose the province. And when you choose the province, you will see a listing, or you can just type in Newmarket, Richmond Hill, Toronto, and it will come up those contacts. But, and if you're having a challenge, you can email or call the national office, and the office administrator can direct you.
Thank you so much for your time today, Denise. I'm so thankful that you are in our community and that the Leche
Oh,
League Canada has a presence here and is helping families. I hope that everybody has learned a little bit about the Leche League Canada, and that any of the doulas and other professionals out there are able to refer clients your way, because I know that this is just such a great resource
yeah.
for families.
Oh, yes. And you can, whoops, the other side. And you can see my banner behind me with our Leche League Canada email. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Denise. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. You too, Teresa.